Hello everyone, and welcome back to more Final Fantasy VII. We are at part 12. In the last part, we dealt with some heavy shit. And in this part, this is going to be almost purely a gameplay part. If you're only interested in the main story, after the beginning of this part, you can honestly just go straight to the next part, because I'm just going to be showing some tips and tricks for certain enemy skills you can get, along with a really good grinding spot in this game that I will be showing off. But first, before we do any of that, we got to get out of this desert place, and the way you do that is by winning a Chocobo race. So that's what we're gonna do. But that's basically what this scene is explaining. Also, that Barrett's kind of taking credit for killing Dine, but we all know what really happened. But yeah. So yeah, that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna win a Chocobo race, and Chocobo racing is a huge part of a side quest in this game. But it's a part of the side quest that you can actually skip if you know how to manipulate the RNG, which I will show you how to do that. I'm going to be showing you that side quest. You can do as early as Disc 2, that you can finish it, and I will show you how to do it without having to do any Chocobo races. There's a way to do it, and it takes way less time if you do it that way than if you do it the intended way, I guess you could say. It's not like I'm going to be doing an exploit or a glitch or anything. It's just you just manipulate the RNG to give you what you want earlier than I think the developers intended for you to get it. But anyways, we're riding up to get to the Chocobo races, and I actually lose the first race that I do, but I cut that out, and then I win the second one, because the first race I did, she gave me a pretty bad Chocobo and it ran out of stamina before the race was over, and then I lost. So that's fun, but I cut that out so you guys don't have to see that. Really the key here is to just hold square, and then once you get to the end, first you switch to manual, then you hold square, and then when it gets to the end, like when you're really close to the finish line, you use whatever stamina you have left to press circle, which will do that dash so you can get to the finish line. And that's pretty much it. But yeah, I will still be doing Chocobo races after this in this playthrough, but it's going to be to get the currency at the gold saucer, so I can spend it on going to the battle square. So in the battle square is where you can get some really good items later in the game as part of side quests that I will be showing off. Like I said, in this playthrough, we will be taking on some of the optional super bosses, and specifically Ruby and Emerald Weapon are pretty much like, unless you want to spend 3 hours on each fight respectively, you pretty much need some of these items to help you beat it, along with the ultimate summon in the game that you get by doing the Chocobo side quest I mentioned earlier. So yeah, I will be showing you kind of my strategies for how I take on those bosses. Ruby Weapon, the strategy I do is the strategy that pretty much everyone does. And then Emerald Weapon, I kind of do my own thing, and I'll show you how I approach Ruby Weapon. It's probably not the optimal strategy, but it's the one that I do, and it works, so that's what I'm going with. Anyways, yeah, I cut the first race out. So yeah, this is the second race. This is my second attempt, and then yeah, it's pretty easy. You don't actually control the Chocobo. This isn't like a kart racer or anything like that. It's just you hold square to speed it up, but that uses more stamina, X to slow it down, stuff like that. And then if it runs out of stamina, you're just straight fucked. So don't do that. This race isn't very long. I love this music though. This is one of my favorite versions of the Chocobo theme. This theme is in pretty much every Final Fantasy game, actually. It's in every one that has a Chocobo, so pretty much every Final Fantasy except the first one. My favorite iteration of it is probably the multiple versions of it here, and then I love the version of it in 5. I think that's a really good version of the Chocobo theme. The version in 10 is also pretty good, but anyways, we have some fancy PS1 graphics here, and then I run out of stamina, but it's okay. I already have a big enough lead to finish the race off. There you go. As long as you get first place, you have as many tries as you want. As long as you get first, you get out of here. So there you go. And yeah. And then we get a letter from Dio, basically apologizing for the misunderstanding, and then as a way of apologizing, he gives us this buggy that's going to let us cross the desert and also cross certain gaps over rivers and stuff, so we can explore new areas in the overworld, which is really nice. So yeah, and we're going to be using that to like I said, this is also he mentions that he met Sephiroth, and he saw Sephiroth was heading south, so now we know we need to head south. That's our next destination for the main story, but we will not be going there until next part. This part, the entire rest of this part, if you are only interested in the main story, you can skip this, because I'm just going to be showing you where to get some extra stuff, some really useful enemy skill abilities. So if you're intending on playing this game, or you're playing this game along with this or something, stick around. You're going to want these abilities. But if you're only watching this for the story or for some other reason, then maybe you could skip this. You're not going to miss any major story elements here. But anyways, the first thing we're going to do is we are heading south towards the beach, and we're going to be running along the edge of the beach to be getting our first enemy skill, which might be the most useful enemy skill in the entire game, because this is one that I use. It costs a lot of MP, so I actually don't use it at first, but once it starts, costing a little less MP where I can actually manage it, I'm using it pretty much all the way through in-game. In fact, I do use it even against the final boss. So this enemy skill, if you remember when we got Kate Sith, we got the manipulate materia. I didn't bring it up, but you might have noticed it on him, and I removed it and gave it to somebody else. And it's because manipulate can basically control an enemy until you hit them, and it kind of snaps them out of it. But manipulate you can use to control an enemy, and then it can cast moves for you. And some of these enemies, these are the guys that we're looking for. These guys have a move called Big Guard that we are going to be using, having it cast it on us, so they can learn it because it's an enemy skill. And Big Guard, it creates both a physical and magic barrier over your entire party and hastes your entire party. So basically it's godlike. So now now they all learned it. So yeah, it hastes your entire party and creates physical and magic barriers, so they are taking less of all types of damage now. So it's really good. Get this enemy skill. It's worth it. It costs a lot of MP. It costs like 64 MP to use. But later in the game, it is so helpful against so many bosses. Like, once I get, enough MPs to where it's not blowing through a third of it in one use, I'm pretty much using it against every boss, all the way through the rest of Disc 1, and then through most of Disc 2, and I even use it against the final boss too, as I said. But yeah, so now that we got that enemy skill, the next thing we're going to do is we're going back up to the desert, and we're going to be looking for a certain enemy here that has a certain enemy skill that is also very useful, and I will be using a lot throughout throughout the rest of Disc 1, pretty much, I will be using this enemy skill that we're about to get here. It's not these enemies, but we haven't seen these guys yet. I'm pretty sure we haven't anyway, so I'm going to show them off, see what they're all about. They like to throw flying sickles, so that's fun. But yeah, they're nothing too special. You just, they're normal enemies. They'll go down pretty quick. If you notice though, Matron Magic is not one-shotting anything anymore, so we kind of need a new spell that's going to be kind of one-shotting most enemies, and that's what we're about to get here. This spell, for this point in the game, you're actually not really even supposed to get it, because the spell basically consistently does 1,000 damage to all enemies, and if you might notice, our party members do not have 1,000 health yet. So you're probably thinking, oh, how are they going to even get this enemy skill? This thing's just going to use the move and then wipe the entire party. The answer is, we're going to use the ability, probably the most underutilized ability in all of Final Fantasy, the defend option, where instead of attacking, they instead choose to defend, so they take less damage. So it will now only do around 500 damage instead of 1,000. So therefore they can actually learn the enemy skill, which is nice. This one costs quite a bit of MP too. It costs about 34, but because it does so much damage, it's well worth it. Like I said, it does 1,000 damage to all enemies. About as your stats increase, it'll do more and more, but even starting off, it does about 1,000. This is the enemy we're looking for, and now, as you see, I'm just defending. It's not Poison Storm, that's not the one I'm looking for. I'm just going to start defending until it casts it, and then I'm going to try to finish it off as fast as I can so it doesn't cast it again. But yeah. And there it goes. That's the move Aqua Lung, or Aqua Breath if this game was better translated as it's actually called. As you see, it still does a ton of damage, even when I was defending. But it also filled up everybody's limits, so this thing is going to go down pretty fast now. But yeah, Aqua Lung is super useful throughout pretty much all of Disc 1, even into Disc 2 a little bit. I'll still use it some. So this is another one I highly recommend that you get. It's very, very useful. And then what we are going to do next after I heal my party is we are actually going to head back to Beach Town that I'm having a brain fart, I can't remember the name of. And we are actually going to get back on the boat to go to Junon at the other continent. Because there's some enemy skills now that we have the manipulate materia. There's another enemy skill that we can get over there, and there's also the location of the grinding spot that I'm going to show off that, like I said, is definitely worth it. Just, yeah, you'll see. But yeah. So yeah, we are now just getting back on this boat to go over to Junon, back to the other continent. So yeah, I actually, my first playthrough, didn't even know that you could get back on this boat, but you can. You can go back and forth as much as you want. You just have to, have the gil, but it's only 100 gil, so it's really nothing. Well, the grinding spot is also not only great for experience, but it will also get us a bunch of money, so we will not be hurting on affording new stuff. And I'm just speeding this up because this boat transition is really slow. But anyways, it will be really good for money. Like by the end of this, we will have, I think, nearly 100,000 gil. So that's going to let us be able to afford all the equipment and new materia that we need, and there's going to be quite a bit of new materia that I'm going to be buying here in a bit. Yeah, so first thing first, we're going to get outside of Junon, and we're going to try to find that enemy that has the enemy skill that we're looking for. This enemy skill is really useful because it's a full heal on the entire party. Not a full heal, it heals the entire party for however much HP they currently have. So let's say they have 500 HP, it'll heal them for 500 HP. Or if they only have 100, it'll heal them for 100. So it basically doubles their current HP. But the reason why it's super useful over a standard cure spell or something is because it also will heal most status ailments. So if somebody has a bunch of status ailments and you want to get them off that character and you don't want to be using every individual item and take up like 5 turns, this enemy skill that we're about to get will help that a lot. And if you see there, I actually got Cloud's level 2 limit break, which is Blade Beam, which is a very, very good limit break. Of course, it's better than his level 1s. The trade-off, though, is it takes much longer. As you level up your limit breaks, it takes much longer to actually get the limit breaks. So limit breaks actually become less frequent as you play the game more, but they become way more powerful. So that's the trade-off there. But this is the enemy we're looking for. We're going to manipulate it, and then it's going to be able to cast White Wind on the party, which will give us the enemy skill, White Wind. And I actually think, I didn't realize Yuffie actually learned the enemy skill, even though it actually missed her. So I actually stay here for a minute and try to find it again so we can cast it on Yuffie again. But that's not necessary, so I cut out all the extra battles and stuff, so that's why I'm running around in circles here like an idiot for a minute. Just ignore that. For some reason, though, the buggy comes with us to the other continent. It's like, did they lug the buggy on the boat too? Oh well. But yeah, so that's why I'm just trying to find the enemy again. I cut out all the extra battles to save time. This part's a little bit shorter, and it's because, like an idiot, I decided to record all of the grinding session that I did. So because of that, I was unable to judge on like how long the part actually was, because the recording said it was well over an hour, because I actually stay here and grind for about 30 minutes. And I cut most of it out for the sake, because that would be really boring. But because of that, when it was all edited and done, this part ended up being shorter. As we go along through this playthrough, since we're still relatively early, like we're about, a fourth of the way there, I would say, through the game. Maybe a little less, maybe a little more. It's hard to judge. I think as we go along, though, I'll get better at judging, the amount of time that parts are going to be. So they can end up being like actually around 30 minutes. But yeah, now we are just heading back into Junon, because that is where the grinding spot is. And this is another thing that I didn't know about on my first playthrough, and I actually found it out through, I forget exactly how, it was some video online or something that told me about this spot. So basically what we are going to do, now that we have all those enemy skills, it's going to make it a hell of a lot easier to deal with this. But we are going to, it's not an exploit or anything, there's just an area inside Junon that likes to spawn really high level enemies for this point in the game. Like, not ridiculously high, not like level 70 or anything like that, but definitely much higher level than anything we fought before at this point in the game. And because of that, you can, now that we have those really good enemy skills, like Aqua Lung, which will do a lot of damage to all of them, we can grind these guys for experience and level up way faster than we would grinding in other areas, which I will be taking advantage of. It's not the most broken thing ever. Typically I get to around like late 20s to level 30 before I stop, because that is plenty. You don't even need to do this at all if you don't want to. It's just something I like to do, like to show off. If for some reason you're struggling at this point in the game and you really need the levels or whatever, this is a really good spot to get some levels fast. So this you'll find 2 enemies here. This is the first kind. It's just this big robot dude. He loves spamming that move, 100 needles, and also Matra Magic. He loves using those a lot. So the first thing we're going to do here is use that laser move that we got last part, which takes away half its health immediately. So that's why I did that much damage. It's just taking away half its health, so then it shortens the fight considerably. So laser is useful here. And now it's going to try to start this. It's going to start to spam Matra Magic here, which is fine. It's good for. This place is also good for grinding limit, because these guys kind of hurt, so it'll charge up everyone's limit fast. So you'll notice by the end of this, I have everyone at level 2 limit by the end of this grinding session. But that enemy, just be careful with the damage it'll do. keep yourself, you know, if you get a low health, of course, heal. Then you should be fine if you have all those enemy skills and stuff. If you want to be really safe, you can cast Big Guard, but then you'll have to go and heal at the hotel in Junon quite a bit more to heal your MP, unless you want to waste all your ethers, which I don't recommend doing. So you're fine without Big Guard, honestly, if you know how to approach it and have the other enemy skills. But this is the other type of enemy you'll find here. These guys, and you're going to be hoping for these guys more, because these guys come in packs, which means they will give you much more EXP and gil here. But if you want to see how much damage Matron Magic, or not Matron Magic, Aqualung does after Clouds, oh, I guess we're about to show you here. Look at how much damage this does. Oh man, that's so good for this point in the game. So because of that, it kills these enemies that are actually pretty strong in 2 hits. And I forgot to specify this, but you actually do need to hit the alarm on the bottom left of the screen to actually let this happen. And look at that, 2100 experience points. But anyways, I'm actually going to cut after this, and here I'm just showing off the summon Ramuh that we got. I just want to show footage of that because I love the summon animations, and you know. So yeah, this is Judgment Bolt, which is the Ramuh summon. Ramuh is just this god of thunder, so he forms this mountain, and then on top of the mountain he summons lightning to come down and smite the enemies. It's a cool summon animation. I always liked Ramuh's a lot. Still not as much as Aqualung does, but still a cool summon. I love the flashy animation so much. But anyways, I am about to cut to after I have grinded, so this is about 30 minutes later of just me grinding here, and I'm about to show just how much my characters have grown in just a second. I'm going to stay at the hotel, which is conveniently is right next to this place, this grinding spot. But yeah, remember, to get the enemies to spawn there, you need to set off the alarm at the bottom left of the screen, and then when that alarm's going off, that's when the enemies will spawn there. And they give, like I said, a lot more experience. So in just 30 minutes, I gained almost 10 levels, as you'll see here in just a moment, which is very good. As you see, look at that. And now everyone's at over 1000 HP, and everyone has a level 2 limit. So now we are set for a little while in this game. We are very over leveled now. Anyways, now we are going to just head back to the other continent, and then move on with the journey. Yeah. And I'm speeding this up again just so, you know, we don't have to wait around for the boat to get back. Another reason I'm kind of grateful for the speed up feature on the other versions of Final Fantasy VII, the more modern ports, is because you can speed up stuff like that. Not a huge thing, but just a convenience thing that is very helpful, so you aren't waiting around for stuff like that. Not to say that, you know, the PS1 version is full of stuff like that, because it's really not. Just having the speed up feature at all is nice. It helps save time, you know. And anyways, we are actually going to make our way back south so we can continue on with the story, which we will be doing in the next part. Yeah, that's always a really nice grinding spot. Like I said, we are now set for a little while level wise. Like we're good. So I'm showing this battle off just to show you just how much stronger we are. In fact, yeah, I'm using Matron Magic to save MP, but like Matron Magic, even because our stats are boosted so much, are going to be doing quite a bit more damage. If you can see there, before it was doing less than 200, now it's doing near 250 to these enemies. So that's very good, and that's a move that's kind of slowly becoming obsolete. But Aqualung is going to be consistently doing like 1300 damage to all enemies now. So now it's really, really good. But yeah, that's gonna be pretty much it for this part, guys. I hope you enjoyed these tips, and now you should know where to find some good enemy skills. And in the next part, we will actually continue on with the main story with our search for the man in the black cape, Sephiroth. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys next time for more Final Fantasy VII.